MLR round number 18 is done and dusted. We have our four playoff contenders. ATL is going to take on Rugby United New York, and LA is going to play Utah straight away again, but I think we already knew that based on last week's results. I've gone ahead and watched a couple of the games. I didn't watch them all. I figured the two for me to watch would be Utah and the Giltinis, LA, because I figured those guys are going to be playing next week. So I might as well get a preview of what the playoff game is going to look like. And then I also watched RUNY and NOLA. Didn't watch either of them live, but fortunately I was able to avoid any kind of results. So yeah, that was both these games were kind of crazy. This one had a bunch of cards. This one had like 11 tries. They were nuts. So yeah, I'll go through those games a little bit, and yeah, you guys can let me know your thoughts on some of the other games as well. The first one was Seattle against Houston, the battle of the two teams at the bottom of the log. And Seattle got that one done pretty comfortably, 40 points to 21. So heaping on the pain for the Sabercats. They'll be looking forward to next season where they can hopefully show some improvement. Because, yeah, 2-14-0 for dead last is a pretty disappointing season for them. And to be fair, Seattle, despite the win, finishing with a 4-12-0 record ain't the best either. So, yeah, looking to the future for those teams, I suppose. 40 points to 21 seems like a pretty entertaining game, a pretty easy one for the Seawolves. I didn't watch it, but if you guys did, let me know how that one went. I watched the kind of highlights of the week, and they did show a couple of the tries from that game, so both Seattle ones. It looked to be a pretty entertaining one. RUNY and NOLA. NOLA went into that one actually with a chance of knocking RUNY out, but it was always going to be a pretty slim chance. They needed to win by 20 points, get a 4-try bonus point, and not let RUNY get 4 tries. Well, they did win the game. They didn't get anywhere near a 20-point victory, and RUNY did score 4 tries. So the game, for the playoffs purposes, was over on around about the hour mark. But, I mean, it was just a crazy one. NOLA got the first try, which was much needed to put themselves in a kind of commanding position. That one was Meyer. 7 points to 0, big gap for that one. But then RUNY, it was NOLA. It was Dirksen. I thought that was a momentum changer. He couldn't gather a loose ball when it was a bouncing ball, and Dirksen just couldn't pick it up. If he'd just caught that ball, it would have been potentially 14-0, and NOLA in the box seat, but he knocked that one on. That's a haunting one, that one. That one was pretty bad. And then, sure enough, RUNY got the next points. After missing a penalty in front, to be fair, they were kind of playing it safe, but neither goal kicker was getting nothing in this game. It was pretty average goal kicking. Bonasso went over for the try for RUNY from a line-out move, though, to make it 7 points apiece. The ref, I wrote, he's grumpy. He was real grumpy. He was not having a lot of the stuff. He eventually yellow-carded one of the RUNY guys. But despite that, they were looking okay with the man down, and they actually scored the Tawake from close range to make it 14-7, but then RUNY got another yellow card for a no-arms tackle, and NOLA punished them. The hooker sniped at the side of the ruck, and yeah, there was just no defenders. I think it was O'Toole got that one, so 14 points apiece. Still kind of game on for NOLA, but man, you need to be cracking on if you really want to threaten during this game. RUNY kicked a penalty during the yellow card, so it's points conceded that NOLA didn't need. You know, you got to take advantage of the man having the extra man. I wrote these players are angry because there were some real handbags, and sure enough, there's a punch from Pryor. It's a red card. The NOLA 13 gets yellow carded for holding a man in. Like, the cards in this game are honestly bonkers. You won't see as poor discipline from this one in many games. I don't know. Do these teams not like each other? You guys who are in the know will have to let me know. Homer Hayes got one in the second half after a long period of pressure for RUNY, 22 points to 14. At that point, I was really counting out NOLA's chances, to be fair, because they're behind, despite the fact that they've had an extra man. But they did get one through Dominguez. He crashed into the fence. There's not much of an in-goal area at that ground where RUNY play. He crashed into the fence, but 22-21. But 63 minutes, essentially, the campaign was over for NOLA when Foden got his try. So 29 points to 20. It looks like it's going to be the game and the playoff spot, but to NOLA's credit, they did keep fighting. Hermages had a try denied, which probably would have been the clincher, but NOLA got one through... did I write his name down? I did not. They scored a try on 70 minutes, and then one through is it Tawaki? Oh no, it was Tikoi Suva right before full time. And 35 points to 22. That's how that one finished. Crazy game. RUNY were opting for threes, I guess, to try and keep the scoreboard ticking over. But, the line break from, I can't remember his name, the big 19 for NOLA in the lead up to Tikoi Suva's try was, it was pretty crazy. So, it's an interesting one with the MLR. Like, RUNY finished 10-6-0, NOLA's 10-5-1, arguably a better record, but they don't make the playoffs due to the bonus points. So, I was talking to one of the guys in the comments of last week's video that probably should be like 2 more teams making the playoffs. Right. If it was like NOLA and AG, that's still teams with, above 500 records that would make it. You can give the top 2 qualifiers, ATL and LA, a week off. Then you get 2 and 3 to play each other, and then the winner of that game gets to play number 1. That would seem to make more sense. I don't know. But it seems like a lot of teams don't make the playoffs. And like AG and NOLA's records, they're pretty solid. I mean, if you keep going below that, you get into some pretty, below 500 records. But yeah, I mean, New England's record's good as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, that was an entertaining game. Like I mentioned, it was pretty crazy. The discipline, man, was pretty costly. DC and AG, I didn't watch that one. 29-25 looks to have been a pretty close game. But again, it was a bit of a dead rubber, so there wasn't much on the line. But it does give DC a little bit of a better record, and AG's record, which could have been a playoff pushing record, didn't end up eventuating at all. They're still above 500 with 9-7-0, which is not bad, because I seem to remember last season when I was following the MLR, they weren't very good. So it seems to be a bit of a turnaround, that they were kind of, just outside the playoffs. Utah and the Giltinis, I did watch. Like I mentioned, that one was going to be interesting for the main fact that these guys are going to play in a playoff game in a week's time, albeit at a different venue. This one was in Utah, so it was at altitude. But man, it seemed like, from what I know of the teams, which is not a lot, LA picked more of a B team. They kind of rested some of the big names for next week, whereas Utah, especially with all their Eagles back, kind of played all the big guns to try and get a result. And they did, but they had to fight for it, man. They got the first try, which was LA, through the left wing at Channel. 5-0. Again, the goal kicking wasn't the best in this game either. But 4-2 hit back from a 5-meter line-out move for Utah on 4 minutes, so 7-5, first lead change. And I wrote a note, man, the Utah crowd is pretty loud. I do like Utah's crowd. I don't know if it's just the acoustics, but the fans there seem proper loud. Like RUNY and NOLA still had fans I could hear, but just the overall vibe at this Utah game seemed to be really loud. And Utah's scrum, honestly, was just monstering LA's pack. It leads to a try through Van Furen on 18 minutes to make it 12-5. Just the forwards kind of going up the guts, really, after a scrum. And then 23 minutes, Baska, the halfback, he got one. I wrote a note. I can't actually remember it now because I watched it yesterday. Ordinary kick chase from LA. Oh, that's right. Yeah, LA kicked it, and they didn't really put much pressure on the Utah guys as they ran it back. But there looked to maybe being a forward pass in the build-up to that one. But anyway, I remember it now. 17 points to 5. Some good hands, though. 31 minutes, LA got a try. It was a proper nasty one for Utah, to be honest. I think it was Whippy. Like, the ball's coming over his head. He loses it in the sunlight. And then as he's going towards where it lands, it takes a wicked bounce the other way. And it's a bit of a gift for LA. That's a brutal one. Don't let the ball bounce if you can. But I guess at altitude it's hard because the ball travels a bit further. And I think that had started from Utah having a line break the other way. But then got turned over and then kicked backwards. So, yeah, tough one, that one for Utah, 17-12. But then Malolo, I haven't seen this guy much. I've only seen a couple of games, but that guy seems to love scoring tries. Malolo got one from a maul. Again, it's 5 meters and he peels off. He's pretty hard to stop from close range, 22-12. And then another one at the start of the second half for LA. That was Channel again. He likes scoring at the start of the half, apparently. 22-17. But then Malolo again. Honestly, the tries were mental in this game. That was again a 5 meter line out. The backs got in there as well. So 27-17. I thought over the course of the game, surely Utah's going to have the legs, but actually LA came back pretty well. They struck back a few minutes later. That was a chip and chase, a dummy offloads in their own from their own half. Maybe the try of the game, that one. Phil Rodriguez, 27-24. And then Utah got a red card. It was a bit of a stamp. Yeah, Hurst, I think it was. Stamped on one of the guys, kind of holding him by the leg. That was, not what your team needs. So he's going to be gone for the rest of the game because only 15 minutes to go. And then LA punished them. The left winger went close for his hat trick. That's Channel, but he knocked it on. But they did go with a 2-on-1 to Vulanaka on 73 minutes. They missed the conversion, but they went in front 29 points to 27. I thought maybe Utah man down, nothing really to play for. Maybe switch off a bit, but they did get the final try through Mike Teal. Bit of a sniping run from him from close range, playing halfback. And he proved a pretty hard man to stop. He looks really good at MLR level, but sometimes at international level, he looks really out of place, old Mikey Teal. I don't know him that well, but Anyway, Utah bundled the LA guys out of touch at the death. They really wanted the win. The fans really appreciated it. So, it was a cracking game. Utah had more possession, more territory, more run meters. But interestingly, LA were able to generate more clean breaks. So, speaks to kind of the danger that those guys have. So, 34-29. It's a win for Utah. Maybe mentally that's a bit of a plus going forward into next week. But, again, it wasn't the strongest team for LA. And LA will be at home. So, will be an interesting one at the final. And, I'm 12 minutes and I better hurry up. The Free Jacks over ATL. I don't know if ATL played their full team. I didn't watch this one. But ideally they would have wanted to get a win going into their final, their conference final. But, New England, 22 points to 19. They've had a good season as well. So, I forgot to mention them. I think they should be in the playoffs conversation as well, really, with that kind of record. I feel like there should be 2 more teams, but I don't know. Maybe it's logistical reasons. They've done pretty well to organise this competition in a pandemic, man. It's been going since, March? Yeah, pretty amazing. It sets up ATL and RUNY. Interestingly, RUNY, although they're the bottom qualifier of the two, have won both the games in the build-up. They won 27-17 in April and 31-24 in their second meeting. And then LA and Utah have split their results. Obviously, one was this most recent one, but also back in May it was 38-27 when LA were at home. So I would imagine LA go into that one as pretty heavy favourites. Maybe ATL and RUNY will be a bit closer. We'll have to wait and see. I look forward to watching those games as they come up. So, been good getting back into the MLR, guys. As I mentioned, I'm still kind of fudging my way through it, learning some of the players, some of the kind of nuances about the teams, like the fact that Utah play at altitude. The background with those mountains is honestly phenomenal. You guys do let me know your thoughts. Do you reckon it could use 2 extra teams in the playoffs, or do you think it's pretty much good the way it is now? I just know from what little other American sports I watch, generally if you got a record above 500, then you should be there or thereabouts, but not so much for like the Free Jacks, for NOLA, for AG. So there's all teams that miss out. But anyway, you guys take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.